This chapter builds on the concepts of power and influence addressed in the previous chapter. In fact, a leader's personal values and sense of ethics is the key determinant in whether a leader attempts to use power and influence for good or for ill. Recent events in the public eye have spotlighted the increased need for the scrutiny of the ethics of our leaders. In determining what the right behaviors are and what is the right conduct, leaders necessarily must consider the values, backgrounds, and cultures of all people involved in leadership interactions, especially as the world and organizations become smaller, more complex, and more diverse. The phrase doing what is right sounds deceptively simple. Leaders will invariably be faced with ethical dilemmas that require great moral courage and a clear understanding of their values, the organization's values, and a set of ethics. Making these decisions easier is based explicitly on a strong sense of trust between leaders and followers, an understanding of what values are, and a clear notion of how values develop. Although leaders and followers from different generations were raised in different times, research suggests that this does not mean they have drastically different value systems, and there are both differences within generations as well as similarities across generations. Another related stream of research argues for the notion of generational archetypes. The argument is based on the notion that a generation is not so much related to the generation that raised it as it is to the one that shaped the generation that raised it. Indeed, there is a regular recurring pattern of these archetypes in American history as well as other societies. In order to improve and better understand how leaders and followers can make better, more ethical decisions, it is imperative leaders and followers have a solid understanding of what their values are and how these impact their decisions and interactions. Recent research on positive forms of leadership, in particular authentic leadership and servant leadership, have experienced a rekindling of interest. These forms of leadership focus on enhancing self-awareness, increasing transparency, and creating organizations and systems that are more inclusive, as well as being more explicit in the links to personal values. Finally, there are several cognitive and behavioral mechanisms people can and do invoke in order to dissociate their thinking from their actions. In essence, it is the means by which people try to explain why good people do bad things. For example, diffusion of responsibility or advantageous comparison.